Kendra Miller is accused of helping
Good morning. You may call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Call James Moss. You remain standing and raise your right hand, please, sir. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give the court in this matter of State versus Jamie Donnell Hood will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat, please, sir. Would you state your name for the record and for the jury, please?
James Moss.
And are you employed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Where are you employed?
The Athens Clarke County Police Department.
And what is your position with the Athens Clarke County Police Department currently?
I'm currently assigned to the Special Operations Unit, Crime Emergency Unit.
How long have you worked with the Athens Clarke County Police Department altogether?
A little over 16 years, since March of 1999.
And how long have you been in your current assignment?
Since 2012.
And before working with the Special Operations Crime Emergency Unit, where did you work? In what area?
From 1999 until about 2003, I was a uniform patrol. I worked the evening shift from 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. After that, I was trained as a K-9 officer, and I worked as a police K-9 officer from 2003 to about 2012.
Until you moved to your current assignment, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And a K-9 officer does what, sir?
This particular K-9, he was a dual-purpose trained dog. We did patrol work, which is tracking and apprehension of individuals that have fled from police, and also narcotic searches.
Now, where did you grow up, sir?
In Oconee County.
And you go to high school there?
Yes, sir.
What high school did you go to, and when did you graduate?
Just Oconee County High School. I graduated in 1993.
Following high school, where did you go?
I entered the Marine Corps Reserves. I trained at Parris Island. I was in the Marines from 1993 to 2001. After receiving my basic training, I did enroll at UGA for a while. While enrolled at UGA, I was employed with the University of Georgia Police Department as a dispatcher.
And about how long were you employed with UGA as a dispatcher?
From 1994 to just after 1997.
And then you wanted to go into work with the department in 1999?
Yes, sir.
Are you married, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any children?
No, sir.
Let me direct your attention back to March 22nd, 2011. Were you working on that particular day?
Yes, sir. I started my shift at 9:45 in the morning.
Now tell me about your shift as a K-9 officer. You were a K-9 officer at that time?
Yes, sir.
And was it one that you had a regular shift each and every day, or did it fluctuate?
During this particular time, I was working from 9:45 in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Friday.
And as far as your work as a K-9 officer, did that shift sometimes change to other times?
And sometimes I would have call-ins. If they had a need for a K-9 of the hours I wasn't working, I would be called in to assist with any way I could.
Now, the department's divided into East Precinct and West Precinct. Were you, as a K-9 officer, assigned to one or the other?
I was assigned, my immediate supervisor was Sergeant Ryan McGee. However, I would patrol both east side and west side areas.
Now, at around 1 o'clock, while you were on duty, did you hear a call go out in reference to some sort of a person jumping out of a car, getting out of a trunk, or something to that effect?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. Where were you? Were you with anyone? What went on?
At the time, I was just patrolling by myself when I heard the call go out. I don't remember my exact location of where I was at. I believe I was patrolling somewhere in the area of Prince Avenue, Millage Avenue. You'd consider that the northeast area, probably a little bit north of the downtown area when I heard the call go out. Started to respond to the area. I remember hearing on the radio a suspect name given as Jamie Hood. At that time, I started looking in our iLeads computer system for any kind of leads or possible locations of where the individual might be going. I developed, through looking through iLeads, a possible address at 240 Sycamore Drive. I believe the apartment number was J8, Juliet 8.
And that particular area, were you familiar with what kind of a complex that was, or the name of the complex?
Yes, sir. From my times of patrolling from 1999 to 2003, I patrolled the west side. I was pretty familiar with the west side of town. I knew Sycamore Drive fairly well.
And those apartments, at that time, did you know what apartments that might have been that you had a possible address for?
Regency Park Apartments.
And just for point of reference, and we'll show it on a diagram later, if you're going down Sycamore, where is Regency Park Apartments?
It would be the last apartment complex on your right. Sycamore Drive is only about 3/4 of a mile long, half a mile, 3/4 of a mile long before it dead ends, and that particular apartment complex is the last one there on the right.
Is an apartment complex across the street from Regency Park.
Yes, sir.
And what are those?
Not positive on the name, but that's 235 Sycamore Drive.
Okay. Now, after receiving that information from iLeads, what did you do?
I actually began to respond towards Sycamore Drive, and then I heard other officers in the area already. Made contact by phone with another officer. At the time, he was Senior Police Officer Matt Ring. He had stated that they had checked the area of Sycamore Drive. At that point, we decided to meet for lunch.
Okay. Did you actually, before lunch or before deciding to meet for lunch, actually gone into Sycamore yourself?
No, sir.
And is that because Matt Ring had indicated it had already been checked out?
Yes, sir. Matt Ring had indicated that he had checked it out, and some other officers had actually patrolled through there.
And so y'all decided to meet for lunch? You
Yes,
and
sir.
Matt Ring, any other officers at all?
I believe it was just me and him. There may have been another officer that was going to meet us, but I really recall that it was him that met for lunch.
And where were y'all going to meet, and where did you meet?
We met at the Europi location there in Beechwood Shopping Center off of Alps Road.
And are you familiar with the Chick-fil-A restaurant?
Yes, sir.
There at that location?
Yes, sir.
In front of Beechwood. And as you face Chick-fil-A from Alps Road, where is the Your Pie located as you face Chick-fil-A from Alps Road?
It'd be to your left through the parking lot.
And did you actually go over to Your Pie and meet Matt Ring there?
Yes, sir.
And tell us what happened while you were there. What did you do, and then what happened?
We had actually placed our order. We were just about ready to pay for our order when we heard over the radio a call of shots fired. And I remember hearing what I believe to be somebody saying that I'm shot. I also heard the particular area, I believe, was Sycamore Drive. I looked at Matt Ring and said, "We need to go." And we ran out of the store heading towards Sycamore Drive.
And did you get in your patrol car?
Yes, sir.
And when you got in your patrol car, were you by yourself?
Yes, sir.
And did you respond?
Yes, sir.
And did you basically turn on any emergency equipment? at the
Yes, sir. I
time you
turned on my lights and siren to respond in emergency mode.
And from the Your Pie there off Alps Road, can you tell us your travel, direction of travel?
Yes, sir. I turned left onto Alps Road, traveling north to the intersection of West Broad Street, where I turned west onto West Broad Street from Alps. From there, continued traveling west until reaching the intersection of Sycamore Drive. Turned left onto Sycamore Drive.
And if I can, when you turn left onto Broad Street, the way you turned off Alps, heading towards Sycamore, are you familiar with where a McDonald's restaurant is on your right there?
Yes, sir.
And is it right there on your right?
Yes, sir. You have the Hampton Inn on your right at the intersection of, actually, it's Hawthorne and Broad. That would be that corner. After the Hampton Inn, there's an Applebee's, and after the Applebee's, there's a McDonald's. So they're one right after the other.
And Sycamore Drive is down there to the left just a little bit further?
Yes, sir. Probably a third to half a mile, if that.
And as you proceeded on the Sycamore Drive, can you tell us what you did, how did you proceed, and where did you go?
I proceeded driving in emergency mode. traveling down Sycamore Drive. The first vehicle I encountered was a dark in color van-like vehicle, stopped in the lane of traffic just near a business park. I continued down the road where I saw two patrol cars parked to the left. One of them was actually pulled into an apartment complex driveway, and the other patrol car was parked at an angle behind it. When I arrived, I remember seeing Officer Kitchens assisting Officer Howard, who was laying face down on the ground at the time, and also Officer Johnson was also helping as well with Officer Howard. As I exited my patrol car, I noticed an individual laying down on the ground just to the side of a red Chevrolet Suburban. About that time, another officer, a Deputy Morgan, arrived. I had called out, I asked who was this individual, indicating to the person laying on the ground. He would be later identified as Matthew Hood. He uttered and just yelled out, "I didn't do anything, I'm the driver." At that point, Deputy Morgan placed him in custody.
And did you see where he was placed at all?
Eventually, he was placed in the back of Officer Kitchens' patrol car.
And before we go further, Deputy Morgan, is he still living at this time?
No, sir.
Passed away since then?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you tell us basically, that dark van type, did you later determine or determine right then kind of what that may have been?
At first glance, I believed it was a taxi cab. I never confirmed whether or not it was a taxi cab, but I believed it to be a taxi cab as I passed by it.
And as you observed all this, what did you do?
I began trying to collect information as far as what happened. I had an individual run up to me that told me he said he saw everything, saw who did it, and saw where he ran. I asked him for a description of the individual. He gave me a description as a bald-headed black man wearing a white t-shirt with some yellow writing on it, or something yellow on the front, wearing blue jean shorts. Stated that he was kind of a heavy, muscular build individual, and he told me that he had run west or ran down towards the dead end of Sycamore Drive before turning into the 235 Sycamore Drive address. He actually used his hands and he motioned that he had ran behind some buildings of 235 Sycamore Drive. I also had another individual, a white male, come up to me.
Let me stop you there. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
put that description out over the radio?
Yes, sir, I did.
And then, I'm sorry, you had another individual come up to you?
Yes, sir. Had another individual, a white male, come up to me. I just remember him wearing a blue shirt. Remember him telling me virtually the same thing. He described the individual as a black male with a bald head, muscular build, wearing a white t-shirt, said he'd last seen him running down Sycamore Drive. And at that point, I told those two individuals to wait at the scene for some other officers so that they could get their information as far as being witnesses, and I was going to proceed down Sycamore Drive.
Is that what you did?
Yes, sir. Prior to proceeding down Sycamore Drive, I did run to the patrol car that was parked in the oncoming lane. I didn't realize it at the time. As I started to run back towards that patrol car, Matt Ring stopped me. Said there's nothing we can do. Excuse me. At that point, I looked in and did see Officer Christian, had a gunshot wound to his neck that I could see, and I could tell that he was in fact deceased. At that point, I returned to my car, drove down to Sycamore Drive a little ways to the first entrance of 235 Sycamore Drive, blocked the entrance in case there was another vehicle that he might try to escape in. Began setting up a perimeter on the radio for other officers, trying to establish a large perimeter to try to contain the suspect.
And then what did you do, and what happened?
After some time had passed by, we heard on the radio of a carjacking, and then after the carjacking, there was a vehicle description given out. I don't recall the description of the vehicle. And then a little bit late, a little short time after that, I heard Officer Carry-On Wright advise he was on the Georgia 10 loop, the outer loop, in pursuit of the suspected carjacking, or the car that had been carjacked. Listened on the radio for a little bit. At that point, I then left Sycamore Drive and started to respond in areas that I didn't hear other officers already in to look for the suspect.
And later in the day, what else did you do?
Later that day, we basically went from place to place looking for Mr. Hood and continued to do that throughout the week.
And were there any locations that you went to inside the county as well as outside the county?
Throughout the week, yes, sir, I did. I believe that was Mr. Hood's grandmother's house up in Elbert County. I'm not sure if it was in the city limits of Elberton. I don't have the exact address. And assisted Elbert County and some additional officers with securing that house and searching that house. A couple other locations that we checked, just not necessarily the houses, but just areas around houses and in the wood lines along Spring Valley Road, Winterville Road, Athens Road, and then ultimately wound up off of Bowley Drive in the Creekstone subdivision.
Is that on March 25th?
Yes, sir.
And were you set up over there at some point?
Yes, sir. I was directly behind the duplex, holding the perimeter with other officers.
Were you relieved before any surrender at all?
Yes, sir. Just prior to.
Let me ask you if I can, Officer Moss, was your car equipped with a video?
Yes, sir. It is. It was.
And when the emergency equipment, particularly the blue lights, the front blue lights are activated, was the video activated?
Yes, sir.
Just one second, please.
I'm sorry, y'all. That's all right, you don't have to explain it. Just, let me know what you think. That's taken care of. He got all these issues. I'm sorry. Continue.
Thank you. And at that time, did you go back and look and see if let me back up a second. As far as that video, it's automatically activated when the blue lights, front blue lights come on?
Yes, sir. It's automatically activated and it records, I believe it's the prior 30 to 45 seconds of time prior to the activation of the blue lights. So if I turn on my blue lights, it's been recording for 30 to 45 seconds prior to those blue lights coming on.
And you can manually turn it on, or it automatically comes on every time you turn on the blue light?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did your video record at some point from one point to another on that particular day?
Yes, sir.
And if you watch that to see how far it recorded,
Yes, sir.
where does it start?
It starts with my vehicle parked in the parking lot just in front of the Europi eatery, and it ends sometime later.
Just stop just a second.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to get his video, I'm sorry.
Well,
It's just on itself.
It's gonna have to be turned off.
Okay. I just turned it all the way off then.
Thank you. And it begins where again, if you will, and
In the Beechwood Center parking lot, just in front of the Europi Pizzeria. You can see the Europi on the camera.
you activated it, your blue lights were activated when you got in the car?
Yes, sir.
And so it went 30 or 45 seconds prior to that?
Yes, sir.
And then basically, how far did it record on that particular day, sir?
I believe I've got or so of recording. I'm not sure the exact amount. It's a pretty long recording.
And when you basically arrived on Sycamore, where did you park in relation to Officer Howard's car?
When I first arrived, as you're looking at my video, you'll see Officer Howard's car to the left of the screen, and you'll see Officer Kitchens kind of to the right. So I've kind of parked in the middle between them and behind them.
And did your car at that time remain in that position, or was it moved at some point?
It remained there for a little while until I moved a little further down Sycamore Drive.
And where did you move it in relation to Officer Christian's car?
I moved it to the first entrance of 235 Sycamore Drive. 235 Sycamore Drive, I guess the drive is shaped kind of like a horseshoe or a U-shaped, and it's got two entrances. It's got a top entrance and a bottom entrance, and I parked at the top entrance.
And how did it continue to record at that time?
Yes, sir.
And from that point, how long did it remain on?
It remained on until I left. I left the area. I traveled up Broad Street. I believe I ended up on West Hancock Avenue at some point, and at some point I think I was on Chase Street, and at that point I turned it off.
And from the time you moved it until which time it was turned off later, have you watched that part of the video as well?
Yes, sir.
Was there anything of note necessarily on that part?
No, sir.
And it is some length of video, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was there sound on your video that you watched at all that was recorded?
There should have been sound. However, my microphone malfunctioned and did not record any sound. There's this particular system. You have a transmitter that's on your belt that a microphone plugs into. The microphone wire is very thin, and I think they have an issue with the microphone wire breaking over time. And there's no way of knowing that is not functioning until you review your video and you realize you don't have any audio, and then you get a new microphone.
Let me show you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibit number 10. Oh, it's on. Is it ours? It was on. Wasn't right. There you go. Can you see that on your screen as well as up here on the screen?
Yes, sir.
And in front of you there is a laser pointer, just on the bench there, okay? And, let's get the auto, there you go, that's good. You see the area of West Broad and Sycamore, sir?
Yes, sir, I did.
And where is Sycamore come off at West Broad here?
Right there.
And you see approximately where Officer Howard's car was, as well as that Chevrolet Suburban?
Yes, sir.
Where is that?
Right in there, that entrance there.
Is it that first entrance or the second one?
I'm sorry, the second entrance. Yes, sir.
Okay. And right here, you know what kind of business that is, sir?
It's a Mexican restaurant.
And how about that business right there next to it?
That's the Howard Johnson's Motel.
And these buildings here, do you recall what those are? That
It's a
white
business.
building?
It's a business park. I don't know the name of it.
And this complex here, what is that? Do you remember?
I believe the name of that is River's Edge Apartments. At the time, that was 200 Sycamore Drive.
And at the time, could you cut through from Broad Street over towards Sycamore through that complex?
Yes, sir. There was an entrance right about there.
Okay. And as you came down Sycamore, can you show us about where you parked? I understand the video will show the exact map, but where did you park?
Probably right. I know it's shaking a little bit, but right around in there,
Okay.
just past that building that you can see.
And after you parked, your video remained on?
Yes, sir.
Throughout that time? And then you moved your car to about where, do you suppose?
If you see that, the entrance here, and you count down that building and that building, I was at this entrance here.
And at that time, you moved your car for what reason?
We were told that the suspect, or Mr. Hood, had run behind this building here, traveling in this direction. So I parked here, blocking this entrance and exit.
And your video remained on during that time?
Yes, sir.
And it remained on until which time you turned it off later after you left that particular location?
Yes, sir.
And as I indicated before, from the time you were here until which time you turned it off later, is there anything of note on that particular video?
No, sir.
Hit the lights, please. Let me show you, first of all, there's a DVD, State's Exhibit number 169. Do you recognize what that is, sir?
Yes, sir. It's a DVD-R.
And is that the video of the entire recording on your car on that particular day?
Yes, sir.
And you've watched that video, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I have.
And is it true and accurate? There's no alterations or deletions
Yes,
at
sir.
all? And again, it didn't have any sound, as the sound apparently was not working.
That's correct.
State's Exhibit 170 is a DVD, and can you tell the jury what that is?
This is a recording of the same video. It's just shortened to just prior to me leaving the area of Sycamore Drive.
And it goes down after you move the car
Yes, sir.
itself. It doesn't record everything after you move the car, but just at a point not too long after you remove the car. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, and let me ask you, is that a exact copy of just a portion of the video in States 169?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it true and accurate, and have been any, is that correct?
That is correct.
Is there any additions or deletions to that?
No, sir.
And have you actually watched that to verify?
Yes, sir.
And after watching that, did you initial that particular?
Yes, sir, I did. These are my initials.
Your Honor, I would tender State's Exhibit number 170 into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
Judge, I done looked at the videos, I think 169, the whole entire video should be tendered both. I wouldn't object if both of them. He said 170. I'm not asking him to play the whole thing, but I would like him to tender both of them to evidence because he might be deleted the part that I think need to be shown.
You want to respond to that?
We're tendering State's Exhibit number 170. Number 169 is available if in fact everybody wants to view that.
I'll admit 170 over in this objection.
And at this time, we'd like to play State's Exhibit number 170. As though we're doing that, Officer Moss, do you know about how long that one is?
It's probably about 14 or 15 minutes, I believe.
And the other State's Exhibit number 169 is about how long again?
I want to say it's probably about an hour.
And Judge, let me state this. We're more than happy to play 169 and play it to a point, at whatever time to stop. But instead of just watching pretty much nothing for about 45 minutes or so or longer, that was why we had a shorter version. We'll be glad to do either one.
Any objection?
Yeah, I agree with him. It should be played that long because that'll be a waste of time just sitting here. I watch the video. You don't see nothing. I'm not asking them to play the part that's not being played, but however they want to do it, as long as I get to
it's in evidence, and it, are you tendering then 169?
I'm not at this time. I'll do 170 as I think that's exact copy of
Well,
that.
I have my
short
same
portion of
video,
that.
so if I have to do it, I just turn to mine.
That'd be fine. And you're gonna be working off the Lectern laptop, is that right?
Yes, sir, I am. I'll be working off of it. My investigator who knows more about it will be working off of it.
Yes, sir.
And determine who that was.
Yes, sir, that was Matthew Hood.
Thank you, sir.
Cross-examine.
Morning, Mr. Moss.
Morning.
How did you get involved in this case, sir?
I just responded to the radio call.
What radio traffic did you receive? What radio traffic did you hear to make you respond to this case?
The first radio traffic would have been the person jumping out of a trunk that was tied up in the area of Lexington Road near the Carmike movie theaters.
You heard that via dispatcher?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you hear the dispatcher say anything like, Jadon Brooks was carjacked at the red light at the particular time?
I do remember the name Jadon Brooks.
Do you recall any carjacking at the red light that went out over radio traffic?
No, sir, I don't.
What time did you pick up your radio to hear what you heard?
My radio was always on. I specifically heard an individual had been seen jumping out of the trunk that had been tied up in that area.
You didn't hear anything about carjacking?
Not until after the incident on Sycamore Drive.
Okay. Did you hear Officer Howard? First you heard that Jamie Hood, I'm sorry, let me back up, I'm sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
First you heard a carjacking or somebody got in the trunk, then you heard a suspect, Jamie Hood, correct?
Yes, sir.
What time did you hear the suspect, Jamie Hood?
Don't recall the exact time. It would have probably been between 12 and 12:30, somewhere around there. I don't have the exact time, I'm sorry.
After you heard this suspect, Jamie Hood, what you do after you heard about this suspect, Jamie Hood?
I began looking for Jamie Hood. I began looking in our computer system for any addresses that might lead us to where Mr. Hood might be at.
What address you come up with, sir, when you looked up my name?
240 Sycamore Drive. Again, I'm not positive on or 100% sure on the apartment number, but I believe at the time it was J8 or Juliet 8.
All right. What did you do after you got this Sycamore Drive information?
I began responding from the east side of town towards the west side of town towards the Sycamore Drive area.
Did you actually go to Sycamore Drive?
No, sir.
What happened after that?
I went to lunch.
Okay. Who did you meet with at lunch?
Officer Matt Ring.
What you and Matt Green talk about?
We really didn't have time to talk much at lunch. We were placing our order, and then the call went out for Sycamore Drive. And at that point, we left and responded to Sycamore Drive.
What you had your radio on?
Yes, sir.
You heard the carjacking suspect Jamie Hood, correct? Suspect Jamie Hood.
I heard the name of Jamie Hood given as a suspect.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did
No,
you?
I would respectfully object, because that's somewhat misleading, because he's talking about being your pie, and then he talks about you heard Jamie Hood. I think he's talking about two different times, and I'd ask for him to clarify the question about when he heard that name Jamie Hood.
I mean, all right. Did you hear Officer Howard, any radio track from Officer Howard stating that he was pulling over carjack suspect Jamie Hood?
No, sir.
So you didn't hear Officer Howard saying that he was pulling over Jamie Hood at all over that radio?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, after you and Mr. Ring were eating, what happened after that, sir?
As we finished ordering our food, that's when we heard over the radio call of shots fired, and I recall hearing someone say that they were shot.
Okay. I noticed you looking at the video there, that camera recording while you was inside before you run out.
Yes, sir.
Tell her how that happened.
That particular system is the Motorola system. It's an old, outdated system at this time. It was set up to record, I believe it was either 30 or 45 seconds of video automatically. So if I was to activate my emergency lights or activate my microphone, it would have recorded 30 to 45 seconds of video prior to me activating anything or activating the camera. That's the way it was set up and designed to do.
What do you mean by it record automatically? It just, so you got out your car and it just cut on by itself, that what you're telling us?
No, sir. It cut on because I activated my lights. When I activated my lights, that turns the camera on. The camera is designed in such a way that once you turn those lights on, it automatically comes on. It's tied in. It's kind of like the on switch for the camera, but it also records, again, 30 or 45 seconds. You can look at the video and kind of tell when 30 or 45 seconds passes, you'll see kind of a change in the video. Not a change per se as far as on the system, but you might hear like you're supposed to hear the sound as well. It's kind of like our current cameras. Our current cameras are designed the same way. They automatically record a specific amount of time prior to activation.
I thought you stated a while ago it was a 15 to 30 second delay before it started recording.
No, sir. A while ago I said 30 to 45 seconds.
30 to 45 second delay, is that what you stated?
It's not a delay, it's a backup. In other words, it starts recording 30 to 45 seconds of video. And in other words, if I hit my lights, turn the lights on, it's already recorded 30 or 45 seconds of video.
Okay, I'm
All right.
sorry, sir. I
Okay.
thought you were saying a delay. Okay, yes, I got you.
Yes, sir.
So, did you activate the video camera before you went into the restaurant or while you was in there? Because I see you recording you before you come out.
I activated it once I got into my patrol car. The reason why you see me exiting the store is because I've run outside, I've turned on the camera, and it's recorded that time period. That's the way it's set up to do.
I think I'm kind of lost because when you say you run out there and you activate it, come on, I seen you running out.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it was recording before you run out. How did that camera record before you run out that restaurant? What I want to know.
The camera itself is a hard drive system. It records on a hard drive. It's designed so that it's recording 30 to 45 seconds all the time. It's always recording 30 to 45 seconds of video so that when I turn on the camera, that 30 or 45 seconds of video is captured. So my understanding of the system is that it's constantly recording 30 to 45 seconds of video so that when you turn it on, it's recorded that 30 to 45 seconds of video. That's why you see me run out the store and get in my car and start driving. I did run out the store, I got in my car and I turned on the lights, and then it's recording, but it's recording that 30 or 45 seconds time period while I was still in the store.
So is it safe to say when you got that call, it just continue recording? What I'm trying to get an understanding of, just recording, that's what you're telling us.
Yes, sir.
If I may use state exhibit 170 and ask them the question with the lights on, please, if that video, okay. I mean, I can use mine, they want to, I use theirs, the same thing.
Well,
That's it.
that 170 is what's in evidence. What is it? Let me ask this. Is there just a portion that you're going to play?
Yes.
Do you know where the numbers are that you're going to, do you know where that is?
Yeah, I'm gonna play the same exact thing, but I understand, like, speed it up, what you're saying, yeah, I
No,
got
I'm
you.
just asking because what I'm about to ask Mr. Chafin to do is, if there's no objection, let him, it's in his machine, you tell him where to start it and where to stop it. Will that work?
I guess we can speed things up, if
I
that's the way.
just,
I don't have no
might-
objection,
I think
he
it might
started, and I just,
work better.
I'm happy to do that, Your Honor, if we could.
Okay.
no problem. what this camera was doing in the first 40 seconds of this video?
It was recording that 30 or 45 seconds. I believe if you recall, the video started at 13:27 and I think 6 seconds. And I think it's about to click over to 46 or 47. So that 30 to 45 seconds of video is recording on its own.
Do all police car audio and video camera record on their own like that?
I could not say yes to that. I could just tell you that this particular system operates that way. And they operate different from system to system, I believe.
Could an officer turn that camera on this car with hand, just manually? He cut it on and off at his own discretion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, he also could turn it on when he activated the blue lights, is that correct?
That is correct.
I think. Mr. Chase, would you go to 1:11, 1:11 seconds, please, sir?
Play up to 1 minute.
No, just, you can skip to 1:11, so we don't have to waste time.
Well, the time I have is 13:27:45.
You see at the seconds, right here at the bottom, you see 41 seconds?
Yes, sir, I got
See,
you.
you skip it, make it go to like 1:11, yeah, right now. But that's, save us some time, yeah.
Okay.
Could you stop it right there? Mr. Moss,
Yes, sir.
that car you see right there.
This one right here? Yes, sir.
What is that? What kind of car is that? What is that cab?
I believe that was a taxi cab, yes, sir.
So that taxi cab?
Yes, sir.
You state that the guy in that taxi cab came and talked to you and said he saw some things, correct?
At this time of day, I believe that was the driver of the taxi cab that came and talked to me, yes, sir.
Okay, so that will be from that vehicle right there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now how far is that vehicle is away from Tony Howard car and Officer Christian car? How far that vehicle away from them?
Looks to be probably 150 feet, I guess, 150 feet.
Could you get us in yards? Could you give us that in yards?
35 to 50 yards.
I thought, my recollection, I thought a little longer than that there. So,
Needs to be a question.
okay. Could it be longer than 35, 50 yards?
It could.
It could be 100 to 200 yards, could it?
I don't think it would be 200 yards.
How about it could be in the vicinity of 100?
I would respectfully object to his speculation, basically, could it be this, could it be that, he could go on for quite a while. I would respectfully object to that question, to him asking for speculation.
I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you, sir. Could it be up to 100 yards?
Yes.
You can roll it a little further. Stop. That white truck right there. Tell us about that. Could you tell us about that white truck?
I don't know anything about the white truck, no, sir.
Who's driving that white truck?
I do not know.
Roll a little bit further. Stop. Who is that white guy, that bald guy, running down off the Christian car?
I don't know.
Is he a police officer, a citizen, who is he?
I don't recognize him as a police officer.
Did you state that you talked to a white guy?
With a blue shirt on, yes, sir.
A white guy with a blue shirt on?
Yes, sir.
Is that him?
No, sir.
Okay, could you roll a little farther?
I would assume he did because I believe he described to Officer Ring that there was another officer that had been shot.
I mean, do anybody know this guy? Is he on the state witness list? Did he give a written report or anything?
I do not know.
When you think he should have gave a written report, he'd have ran off the prison car and run back up with him?
Again, I don't know who that individual is, and I would think that if he had some kind of evidentiary value, that they would have identified him. But again, I don't know.
Would you think that he had some type of evidential value as you just saw him run off the prison car and come back? Would you think that?
Yes.
Would you agree that white male have on a hat?
Yes, sir.
You don't recall getting a written statement from him, sir?
No, sir, I didn't get a written statement from anybody at that scene.
Could you roll a little forward, please, sir? Pause. Who is this black guy talking to you right here, pointing down there?
I believe that's the driver of the taxi cab.
In the cab, that could have been 100 yards away from the scene, that guy right there got out that cab.
I believe so, yes, sir.
Do you know that guy's name?
No, sir, I do not recall.
Why didn't you get his name?
I wrote his name down. I believe I gave it to Detective Bowen or Officer Bowen at the time. At that point, I do not remember his name.
Okay. Could you roll the fuck, please, sir? Stop. I see you got a pad out, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have that pad with you today?
No, sir.
Why not?
That's a pad that just keeps my notes. Once they're full up, I throw the pads away or I shred them. That particular piece of paper, I believe I gave that to another officer. I'm not sure if it was Officer Bowman or not, but I do remember tearing it off and giving it to an officer and saying, we need to keep this guy's information.
Okay. Now, when you agree that this guy is giving you information on what he's seen,
Yes, sir.
now, we see you write it down.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it your duty to keep your own notes?
No, sir.
Did you know you were gonna be testifying in this case?
Yes, sir. That's why I wrote an incident report.
Okay. You wrote an incident report.
Yes, sir.
But you do not have the original that you write down, that we see you write down on the scene.
No, sir.
Now, who you say might have?
Again, I'm not positive. It could have been Detective Bowen, Officer Ian Bowen, or another officer that was at the scene.
Roll up for please. Pause. When you agreed that this guy was giving you a description and a report on the scene that he saw on March 22nd, 2011,
Yes, sir.
when you agreed that you wrote down what he was telling you at that moment in time,
Yes, sir.
will you agree that you do not have those particular things that he told you with you today?
I don't have them on my person, no, sir.
Do you consider this case to be important, significant?
Yes, sir.
This is a witness who have indicated he saw a police shooting incident.
Yes, sir.
Very serious matter.
Yes, sir.
And you neglect to bring what you wrote down on the scene. Would you tell me?
I took what I wrote down on that piece of paper. It was given to another officer. That information that I wrote down on that piece of paper was also put in my incident report, my supplemental. That is the notes. I took notes. I transferred those notes to that incident report.
But you do not have the original that you wrote down on March 22nd.
No, sir. I do not. Generally, as he's describing, a high risk or a felony stop, usually you're gonna have 2 or more officers. You will have an officer that's going to be a covering officer that will have his weapon drawn, and you will have a secondary officer that are giving verbal commands to the occupants of the vehicle. It's better to have more officers if you can, if time allows. But one officer will generally be calling out the individuals in the car, and you would hope to have a third officer there that's going to be placing those individuals in handcuffs or in temporary custody if need be.
Do y'all have a procedure for radio communication about stopping an individual that's a high-risk individual?
We do have radio procedures. Again, sometimes time does not allow that to happen on the radio.
Could you tell us the procedure, sir?
That you would call out that you're stopping a particular vehicle, why you're stopping the vehicle, giving particular information about the vehicle, such as the make and model, color, tag, any number of occupants that you can visually see.
Did you hear Officer Howard perform the procedure that you just told us to do?
No, sir.
You didn't hear him do that, did you?
No, sir.
Do y'all have any procedures for like parking your car in a certain manner when you pull over a high-risk suspect?
Just in the safest tactical manner.
So are you telling this jury you don't have no protocol as far as the parking procedure?
There are protocols, there are policies and procedures, but ultimately we will place our car behind the vehicle in the safest tactical manner for our safety and the public safety.
Could you tell us what the protocols say, please, sir?
Verbatim, no, sir.
How many years you been officer?
16 years.
And you can't tell us the protocol for parking your car?
Our policy manual is probably about this thick, so no, I could not tell you word for word what our protocols are. I can demonstrate a felony stop if need be. I can conduct a felony stop if need be.
Would it help you if I show you your policy, sir?
Sure.
It don't look that big, though.
That's just one part of our many policies and procedures that we have.
I'm talking federal traffic stop procedure.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, maybe we can take up a matter outside the presence of the jury, please.
Well, that's the jury, in front of the jury.
Is it okay if I get some water, Bill?
website or some sort of reference to a web turned out on May 7th, 2015. So I don't know where that came from, but that's, so obviously, you know, that's where it would come from. It would come from anything we serve, you know.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moore, he is right, and forward step one right there. He is right. The one I was referring to you right, Mr. Moore, about that one right there, he is right about that particular one. This one was with me, this one I got that was in there. So he is right about this one, and this one don't have a date on it. We can let him see it. It's the standard manual text of high-risk traffic stop procedures protocol. This is one I had. I didn't have the one he got there, so he is right about that.
Okay.
But this is the same thing, but he is right about that particular one.
So we'll keep that. We never served this. This came from some sort of standard manual text. Traffic enforcement stopping is 3 pages. I'm not certain where this is referencing anything related to Athens, Clarke County in May. In fact, at the bottom it has, on the first page, it has copyright 2008, communication on accreditation to law enforcement agencies incorporated Toledo. The second page doesn't have a reference to any, nor does the third page, any department or otherwise saying that it was stopped. So, plus, I don't remember ever seeing it. We certainly didn't serve it on them, and never got a copy of that whatsoever. So there's 2 different, if you're on a wish to look at that issue. 2 different matters there. One of them printed out on May 7th, 2015.
Just to be found in Mr. Moore, it was in them boxes that they brought to me. I don't know if Mr. Moore put it in there or not. I assume he did because there's so much in there. It's almost like 4,000 pages. So I assume he did, but I can't say I'm certain that it come from the prosecutor office. Just to be found in him. But it was in there.
Well, anything else you want to tell me?
I mean, that's basically what I can tell you. It's a high-risk traffic stop procedure. And it was in my thing, Athens Clarke County Police Department. Now, this it's saying the same exact thing. Both of them quoting the same, it's word for word.
Well, this procedure and this witness and this matter